It's a huge NewsX impact on a campaign that we started over 2 years ago, a series of documentaries that are available on YouTube where we showed the state of temples in the south, the loot and the encroachment. Now after our extensive coverage exposing this, the Tamil Nadu Assembly has finally passed a bill to make temple land encroachment a non-bailable offence, a massively welcome move. So let's celebrate this, discuss what challenges lie ahead and turn laws into action and what more needs to be done to preserve our ancient history. Yash Raju is joining us live from Chennai for more on this story. Yash, give us more details about this bill that has now been passed in the Tamil Nadu Assembly.
Well, definitely, Uday, after the NewsX impact is clearly shown by the current ruling government, and what we are getting to know is that a bill has been passed by the Legislative Assembly yesterday, in which they clearly mentioned that encroachment of temple land has been cognizable and has also come under the non-bailable offence. So that is a very big development coming from the Tamil Nadu government, where all the if some the land has been encroached by the people, that will come under the non-bailable offence. So definitely, there is a very big development coming from the Tamil Nadu government, in which they are clearly stating that the Tamil Nadu Assembly on Monday passed a bill making the encroachment of properties belonging to the religious institution coming under the non-bailable offence. So there is a very big claim made by Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, and this bill was also passed yesterday, in which all the parties were also supported this bill. So definitely the bill is clearly showing to seek the amendment of the Tamil Nadu Religious and Charitable Endorsement Act, in which the bill was passed yesterday. So they clearly mentioned that the encroachments of temple lands and the religious lands will be coming under the non-bailable offence. So there is definitely shows the support from the Tamil Nadu government, that they have been clearly showing the religious lands which is given encroached by the people will be taken under non-available classes. And what we are getting to know is that the law empowers only one who has been increasing the showing of affairs of the religious developments, and the lodge a complaint. So after lodging a complaint, there will be immediately action taken by the Tamil Nadu government on encroaching of the land. So definitely that is a very big development, and along with that, there is a clear mention that section 79B of the Tamil Nadu Hindu Religious and Charitable Endorsement Act, in which no court shall take the cognizance of offence or unlawful possession of any property belonging to the endowment except on the complaint writing by the commissioner. So definitely this is a very big development made by the Tamil Nadu government on encroaching of the temple lands and the religious lands belonging to the government.
Absolutely, Yash, and this is of course a big NewsX impact, because this is exactly what our campaigns spoke about. This is what exactly our shows were debating and exposing. Yash?
Well, definitely this is create a very big impact in the Tamil Nadu state, where if you see few days before when DMK came to power, they have also mentioned in the manifesto that they will be taking strict action on the temple related activities, in which they passed a bill yesterday which has also been one of the most important bill in the assembly, where if you see they have clearly mentioned that the encroachment of temple lands will be taken very seriously, and nearly 60,000 plus acres were also been retrieved by the HRCE department. So there is a very big development coming from the Tamil Nadu Assembly yesterday, that a bill has been passed. So if someone finds to be getting the encroachment of temple lands or religious lands, they will be booked under non-bailable offence. So this is a very big bill passed by the Tamil Nadu government yesterday.
Okay. Yash, stay with us. In fact, we have Uma Anandan, Vice President, Temples Worshippers Society, also joining us now from Tamil Nadu. Professor Vasant Shinde, history researcher and archaeologist, also joins us live. Shekhar Vijayan, activist, is also live with us on the broadcast. Rajalakshmi Kameshwar Joshi, political analyst, is also joining us on the program. Uma Anandan, let me begin with you. You were there on a lot of these NewsX campaign shows. How do you react now to the tenets of this bill which have been passed? Do you believe it is a welcome step? It will translate into protection for temple land?
It's a welcome order, but how far is it going to be successful in action? That is a $1 billion question. Because I can give this government 2 or 3 cases where we have won in Supreme Court. The highest court in the country has given. Prime land in Chennai city worth 5,000 crores. The temple deity has won the case in Supreme Court. And one more thing, the latest last year, the Kallakurichi District Collectorate building, for which they called all of us to voice our opinions, and still they have gone ahead. So the government by itself is at a wrong foot here. How far are they going to succeed in implementing it? Because majority of the lands are encroached with the blessings from the political bigwigs. So how are they going to put it in action? So the best thing, I'll tell you an example. Arunachalapuram opposite Malar Hospital in Adayar. About 560 grounds. The property is worth 5,000 crores. And there are two instances where Supreme Court has given the verdict in favor of the deity. The verdict has come about 10 to 20 years back and some as far as 30 years back in the time of M.G. Ramachandran when he was a chief minister. The Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple. That temple owns land which is worth 5,000 crores today in Vandiyu. The Supreme Court gave a verdict in favor of the deity. There is a Christian institution which is run in that land. What stopped the government? Let them take that land first. The Supreme Court verdict is there. Let them first redeem that land, worth 5,000 crores today. Second, I'll tell you, in the national highway, Chennai to Bangalore, there is a place called Papanchhatram at the outskirts, Kasi Vishwanatha Temple, a land occupied by a Christian Congress MLA, ex-MLA, Urvashi Selvaraj. He runs a theme park there called Queensland and St. John's School. Both these institutions occupy about 400 to 600 grounds of property belonging to that land, while the temple deity is in a pathetic state. There is not even a one kala puja for the deity. The Supreme Court gave the verdict in favor of Kasi Vishwanathan. Will they go and demolish both the institutions and take over the land? The land is worth about 10,000 crores today. Prime property in the national highway, right bang on the highway. Will the government, I will give the papers regarding this. They did not search because as recently when we wanted to get some papers in this department, about 10 years back, they gave us a reply last week that the files are lost, the papers are missing. So this may be the answer they are giving. Again, Kapali Temple. Kapali Temple owns about 575 grounds in the most posh area of Chennai, Boat Club Road, where you have the residences of the ministers, plus Sun TV owners. You name it, the bigwigs own their bungalows there. About 500 odd grounds, totally encroached upon. That property, the rent alone will fetch them about 300 crores a month. I will give the papers regarding this. Will this government go ahead? So let it not be just a rhetoric. I think the best thing for me will be to have a court-appointed committee. And this was stressed by the case last June 7th, the verdict given by the two-member bench. They wanted a panel to be formed. They wanted a 5-member or a 6-member panel to be formed to go into these gross irregularities. Have they formed that panel yet? They have not. So how serious are they? I don't think I'm being cynical or I'm being negative about it. My past experiences, our past experiences in the court halls have made us cynical because the political bigwigs bless and take a share in the encroachers. When they are up to, they keep quiet. Now I've told you these two instances, Papanchatiram, Kapali Kokpil, Veerasorapuram, and Madurai Meenakshi Temple, Savitri Amma Trust in Kumbakonam. That verdict came about 40-50 years back in the Supreme Court. They have not even bothered to put into action the Supreme Court verdict. How do you think they are going? How do you have a feeling that they are going to be successful in this? I do not have any hopes, let me tell you.
Okay, Vasant Shinde, come in here. Professor Shinde, come in here. Professor Shinde, your first reactions to this bill. Do you believe it is the need of the hour? And what further steps now are needed to ensure implementation of the tenets of this legislation into action?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very important step taken by the state government. I fully agree with your views that that most of the ancient properties, our heritage, that needs to be protected, and there should be very strict and stringent laws for that. and the central government has made some laws, and now the first state government has made this important law. What is important here that a lot of properties which are not maybe owned by anyone, I think they are the ones who are the victims of the encroachment. The state government has at this stage has identified temple property, but they should make compulsory, or this rule can be applicable to all the monuments, all the ancient remains, because a lot of these remains are being encroached upon. So that is really important. I think what the state government needs to do to maybe implement these rules is that, like in the case of National Monument Authority, where the officer in charge is held responsible. If he does not report, he will be punished for that. So similarly, the state maybe archaeology officer in charge of that area in which the temple lies, so he should be made responsible for that, so that these type of events can be periodically reported and the action is taken. So that is really important. If this happens, I'm sure that the rules will be properly identified, will be properly followed, and we'll be able to save our property. This is very, very important stage. Certainly, I believe that.
Okay, let me bring in Shekhar Vijayan at this point as well. Shekhar Vijayan, do you welcome this legislation passed by the Tamil Nadu Assembly? And what more now is needed? What other legislations are needed in other states as well, and perhaps also maybe national ones to further what we've talked about through our campaign to save Indian temples? Shekhar, you're on mute.
Congratulations, Uday, for starting this campaign. First of all, to you and your team at NewsX. I think because you started this campaign has gained a lot of velocity. Now, I think it's very path-breaking. It's a landmark judgment. It's very historical also. And I also believe this is very, very important for India, because we're talking about encroachment of temples, and this has been a discussion which has happened since time immemorial. Now we see the government taking a positive step. Yes, there will be cynics, there will be people who might have questions around it, which is understandable going by the reputation of the government. But the point of the matter here is very simple, that a positive step has been taken. Now we need to see how well will it be executed, because this has a collateral effect on various things across India. Now with with this path-breaking judgment, a lot of complaints will pour in. You will have crime rates across India going down completely, and also this nexus between politicians, between people in the temple, everything. I think somewhere there will be some kind of equilibrium which will be maintained. I also believe this is also important in terms of preservation of our ancient history, because I think India is all about history. India is all about temples. India is all about monuments. India is all about, this is what makes India shine. So I think this is really important. This is a positive step. This is a warm step. This is a positive step towards something good. But we have to make them accountable also. We have to make the government accountable. We have to ensure that this does not just happen in one state. It happens in all states across India, because India is a land of temples. India is a land of so much history around it. And it's very important our generation actually does whatever it can in terms of preserving it. So we've got to make the government accountable. We've got to make the government responsible. And I think this is the first step which has been taken in. And I think it's a landmark moment for all of us. We need to look at this moment with a lot of pride. But also not get too taken in by it, because we know how situations like this have been in the past, but make them accountable for it, and also ensure that this actually brings a set of equilibrium across all the states across India. So I think it's a welcome move. Okay,
stay with us, Shekhar. Rajalakshmi Joshi is also with us live. Rajalakshmi Joshi, now this is of course, one step, one move in the right direction, but we will need action to be translated on ground, isn't it, Rajalakshmi? There's no point in legislation on paper if there is no action on ground. You are also on mute.
Mute. Yes, very right, Uday. And salute to you and the entire team of NewsX for taking up this issue of saving temples, save temples all over India. And this is something that was very much the need of the day. And I would say that this is just the start of the story, and maybe one part has been achieved only, because this only speaks about the encroachment, and it speaks about the material part of it. And any temple that if you look at it,
some possessions of the temple connected with the temples, but one important part that is being encroached upon is the Sampradaya also of the temple, the puja vidhi and everything that comes with it.
Yes.
So this is a very integral part of every temple. So in all around India, if you go, every temple has a different puja vidhi, and it is very sad that the Britishers could not change it. I mean, they did not intend to change it. The other invaders, the Muslims,
Yes.
they did not change it. But our very own people, after independence, they are trying to change the Sampradaya of the temples. So this is a welcome step that at least this endowment act, which it is so shocking that only certain people were allowed to even put up cases against whoever is encroaching. That is a shocking thing in itself. So this is the first, a very small baby step, I would say. But the other big step would be to make sure that every temple is able to safeguard the Sampradaya of the temple and the rightful people who know how to handle it. That is the mutts that are handling it, or the administration who are handling it. They are given the rightful authority to do it, and that the government does not meddle into these affairs, whether it may be the state government, central government. I don't think anybody should have a say into any of this. Supreme Courts, because see, one thing that I saw in the Supreme Court, it's just so easy to manipulate things, and there are so many loopholes. Like, they start asking for so many documents which have not been handed down over right from the ages. You cannot expect a document that has come from Adi Shankaracharyaji's time. So it becomes so easy for a government or even the Supreme Court to take over the administration of a temple, and it is very sad. So it's not only limited to the material possessions. I would talk about safeguarding the Sampradaya also, and I hope that you do carry on this task that you have taken on, and that everybody plays an important part, and that everyone we are able to safeguard our faith. These are matters of faith. Like they say that in matters of faith, if you look at it, everything is something divine, or if you look at it in the other way, then nothing is divine. So if you change the Sampradaya, it's so easy to change it. But then something that has been safeguarded all these centuries, if that is changed just because of some small overlooking of the Supreme Court, or of the overlooking of the government, or because of some vested interests, I think that's a very sad thing. And there are a lot of reasons behind why all these are followed.
Okay, Umanandan wants to add something. Yes, Uma, go ahead.
I would like to add on to what Rajalakshmi ma'am said. Very valid point for the papers. For a particular case in Tamil Nadu, we are searching for the papers. Now we are being told that the papers are in London. The Britishers have taken away the papers for a case. Now I am trying through some contacts of mine in London. It is in the British Museum, they are telling. Now I am forced to go contact somebody in London to get those papers. And as she said, this same government has interfered in the Sampradayas of each temple. Last week, they have come up with a plethora of such, knife rules, where they have started interfering in the Sampradayas as to who does the pujas. And when we took up this case, we have already filed the case, and I came across about 20 archagas who are the original trustees and also the hereditary pujaris, and there are no papers regarding that. The department is refusing to give them the papers. They are not giving. So I have to file a case on their behalf to get those papers. And as he rightly said, the temple is not a secular. The country may be secular, but the Hindu temple is not a secular organization. It is for the Hindus, by the Hindus, and for the Hindus. Let us stick to that. And as everybody is thinking, but one thing, thanks to NewsX for this campaign, which gained momentum. But you people may think I'm being very cynical. We have been in this field for the last 2008, and our wars in the courtroom began in about 2011. And before that, in the Chidambaram case, thanks to Dr. Subramaniam Swamy in the Supreme Court, we lost in a single judge in Chennai. We lost in a two-judge bench. Then only we had to get the justice done third time from the Supreme Court, that the Dikshitas had to fight and take back the temples. us Hindus. So as she said, the Sampradayas, and for the Sampradaya, they take the meaning from an Oxford dictionary. The quotes. How ridiculous it sounds. Sampradaya and the Oxford dictionary has changed the meaning in the last 20 years. It gives one meaning in 1920. It gives another meaning now. Is it not ridiculous that we depend on Oxford dictionary for the meaning of Sampradaya, which is a Sanskrit term? Utterly ridiculous. So please don't think that I am being cynical, because why I am being cynical is already the Supreme Court has given verdict, even in the Chidambaram judgment. Like I said, the Tiruchendur, the famous Murugan temple, the HRNC has built an office in the temple land, and they have not paid the temple deity any of the rent for the last 20 and odd years. They have not paid the rent. And in opposite to Malan Hospital, the government runs 2 schools in the heart of Chennai city, Adayar. For the last 30 plus odd years, they have not paid the rent. There, the government itself is a culprit. Will the minister look into this? So it is like the robber handling the department. It is exactly this. So how do you think we are going to get justice? On June 7th, the verdict by Mahadevan bench, which said, form a panel. They have not done anything. They gave in 6 weeks, they said. Now it is 8 weeks. It gave 75 points for rectification of the temple administration. 75 points. 6 weeks time. They have not done anything. They have not done anything in capital letters. But they are playing to the gallery. They are playing to the gallery here by these laws. People outside do not know the real situation. So they may rejoice and say it is a fantastic step and all that. But I am being very realistic. Because our 10 odd years a fight in the legal battle and our RTI, our struggle in getting information has taught us this.
Okay, well, let me quickly, in fact, get Vasant Shinde to add to that as well. Vasant Shinde, what more is needed? This is one legislation. What more needs to be done? So you have extensive experience in this field. So I'd like you to weigh in on what more is needed now.
I fully agree with my other panelists that making rule is very easy, but implementation is very, very important.
Absolutely.
And the government has to think about how to implement this, because for the Hindus, temple is such an important maybe religious heritage, architectural heritage, and if this heritage is really trampled upon, then it is really this faith of the Hindus is really is damaged also. So that is very important. I think there was no rule in this respect. So at least the government has passed the bill. So now I think people will come forward, maybe even common people will come forward, and they will, because the temples or the heritage property which does not belong to anyone, now that is a soft target. And as some of the panelists say that there is a nexus. So now that nexus has to be broken, and there is a proper step needed in fact in this respect. And I will urge the government to think about how to implement. Even the experts in the field, they also have to be part of the panel, etc. And this is an example, which is set by this Tamil government. I think most of the other state governments also have to follow this particular step, because India is replete with such a huge heritage in the country, and that heritage needs to be properly protected for the posterity. And if that is not done, certainly, I think I gave the example, this National Monument Authority has a rule. If anything happens, in fact, within 100 meters of the monument, nationally protected monument, maybe the officer in charge, he's held responsible. If he does not report it properly immediately, then he's held responsible. Now, that kind of responsibility have to be delegated to some, maybe some officials also in this respect. And perhaps then only, the things will work, these rules and the bills that have been passed, they will certainly will be very effective, and we will be able to save our very, very important heritage, heritage of the state, heritage of the country. And this is a very, very important stage.
Okay.
See, it is obvious that the state government has mismanaged. Why are they sitting in the temples? Let them get out. It is obvious that they are not able to manage properly. I've given you, don't gloat over Tamil Nadu orders, please. As someone sitting in the state, I know the real state of affairs. They are only targeting our temples. What about the reforms in Catholic churches and Islamic place of worship? Their reforms. Their reforms are stuck only to Hindu temples. They are gloating about it. So let us not gloat that this government is doing good for the temples. No. They have been non-believers. They are recognized non-believers of Hinduism. The same Dravidian governments. So don't expect them to do things and all that. Go over by their playing to the gallery attitude. People outside do not know. So don't go by the news, this thing and the interviews that they give and what is passed and all. They are targeting our Vedic temples and our Sampradayas. Why are they not touching, if they are so concerned, why are they not touching the Islamic place of worship and the Christian place of worship? All lands given by the Britishers to the Christian institutions. Let them take that, Lila College, Good Shepherd, let them take the documents and tell us. That if they are so concerned about the property of this thing, let us then find out how much the British government has given in their largest to these institutions to demolish our Hinduism.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.